everyone. Let's hear it one more time for Dr. Abdul Sayed. Fantastic. Thank you, Doctor. One of the things he forgot to mention about what's furthering the pandemic is the beer trolleys that are apparently continuing to operate with no social distancing whatsoever. Thumbs down to that. So I'm here today to just echo some of the things that were already said, but I want to start by saying this. The United States Postal Service is what connects America. Think about the history of our country. Think about the remote areas of America where people are not connected to everyone else. The United States Postal Service is what connected all of us. It's what made us whole as a country. But what we're talking about today, one of the main things is the importance of the Postal Service for elections. And when we think about that, and we think about the passage of Proposal 3, and the fact that so many people, thousands more, are requesting absentee ballots this year in record numbers, because people want to be safe. They want to make sure that they and their loved ones are protected. And what is happening with this attack on the Postal Service, it is an attack on our civic infrastructure. It is an attack on our democracy, and our ability to maintain this democracy in a pandemic or ever. Because really voting by home is about more than just a pandemic. It is a good way to increase voter turnout, which should be a goal of ours in this country. So I want to walk out with you for a second on two pieces of legislation that we're working on at the state level. And I know that there's a lot of federal attention because the post office is federal, but two pieces of legislation we're working on in Michigan around voting from home. So the first one is House Bill 5807. That's a bill that I introduced to basically extend the amount of time that a ballot can be received by a clerk in order for that vote to still be counted. Right now in the state of Michigan, if your ballot is not received by 8 p.m. on election day, it does not count. So if it gets delayed, if you mailed it too late, if it gets stuck in international mail carrying, your vote does not count. So my bill extends that and says for 6 days after the election, your ballot can still be received. 6 days is plenty of time for the men and women of the United States Postal Service to deliver, and so those ballots would be counted under my bill. The second piece of legislation is also really important. Right now in the state of Michigan, how many of you voted absentee already? So you all had to sign the back of your envelope. Remember that? So what happens is your ballot comes to City Hall with the signature on it, and as they're counting them, they have to verify your signature on your envelope against the QVF, the Qualified Voter File, where they have a signature on file. And if, for some reason, they deem your signature to mismatch, your ballot doesn't count. Now, usually that doesn't happen. For most cases, that doesn't happen. But on rare occasion, ballots have been thrown out. And so I am working on a piece of legislation that we're introducing next week that says if a ballot is thrown out because of a signature mismatch, the clerk must notify the voter and give them an opportunity to correct the mismatch so that their ballot can count. So this is about making sure that the integrity of our democratic process, of our voting process, is maintained whether you are voting at the polls or whether you are voting at home. Because at the end of the day, this democracy does not work if people are not voting and the voting process is not safe. And the way that we ensure that is by first and foremost protecting the United States Postal Service from these attacks by this administration, which are fundamentally seeking not just to undermine this institution, but to undermine the very essence of our democracy. Thank you for inviting me here today.